All right, we'll kick off with Tim Pool, our in-house Kremlin correspondent. Remember to repeat your question in Russian for your international audience. Let's make Putin proud.
Yes, many of the news organizations that are represented in this room have marched in lockstep on false narratives, such as the Very Fine People hoax, the Covington smear, and now what's being called the Maryland Man hoax, where an MS-13 gang member adjudicated by two different judges, I believe, is just simply being referred to as a Maryland Man over and over.
Hold on. Listen, you were already invited. You don't need to prove your loyalty with a whole preamble. I'll save everyone some time summarizing your grift for you. Big media companies are wrong sometimes. Trust an asshole in a beanie instead. Something civil war. What's your question?
Now, in an effort from the White House to expand access to new companies, you've created this new media seat. So I'm wondering if you can comment on, following this expansion, you've had numerous outlets disparage the companies that you've had sit here, as well as the reporters. I'm wondering if you could comment on the unprofessional behavior, as well as elaborate if there's any plans to expand access to new companies.
Thank you, Tim. It's brave of you to bring up false narratives, considering your entire career is built on them. We appreciate your concern about media integrity, especially from someone paid by Russian interests to misinform Americans. This administration really needs people like you to ironically lie about the judge's ruling that Abrego Garcia was an MS-13 member. Congratulations on your promotion from freelance grifter to full-time propaganda outlet. To answer your question, we're still working on kicking out unfavorable media establishments over petty things, like being mean or not saying Gulf of America. We just need to know we can get away with ignoring court orders first. As for expanding access, we believe in free speech, even for people who traded credibility for YouTube ad revenue. We welcome all new media voices, and might even nominate them for the cabinet. Going forward, we'll continue expanding access, so long as applicants can demonstrate two things. First, the ability to say this is fine while democracy burns, and second, a proven track record of repeating our talking points to make them true. So you, Tim, are frankly overqualified.
I have two questions, one on the Pentagon and another on the economy. You said on Fox News that the entire Pentagon is working against Secretary Hegseth, but the people who were fired were Hegseth's own guys. So how do you square that, and what do you say to concerns that that's bad management?
Yes, I said that to double down on calling government employees the deep state. We need an ambiguous enemy to blame our failures on, and Illuminati wasn't as catchy. The Pentagon isn't exactly a hotbed of anti-American liberals looking to undermine our national security, but unfortunately, there are still competent people getting in our way that need to be fired. We've been tearing down the idea of experts since COVID to make this more popular. With regard to the management aspect, Pete is simply going through the same struggle that Trump did in his first term. He's going to keep on firing the deep state until he sufficiently consolidates power. Moving forward, the new screening process will be a bit more than just asking if you're cool with invading Greenland.
The secretary said that these people would be prosecuted, so is the FBI investigating?
The FBI will only investigate whistleblowers who leaked that Hegseth leaked classified information. Kash Patel is eager to cover up the confirmed precedent that Signal is being used irresponsibly. He might even write a children's book on it called The King Took a Leak. He's obviously intimately familiar with the subject.
Peter Navarro said that it's perfectly possible to do 90 deals in 90 days. We haven't seen one just yet. How soon might we see a deal, and what evidence can you share that progress is being made in these trade negotiations?
We have concepts of 90 deals already, and if they fail, tariffs are good for domestic manufacturing, and that was the plan all along. It's probably going to look a lot like what we have now, like it did with the USMCA, minus our reputation and credibility. Evidence is what experts use. We rely on faith, like good Christians.
The proposals that you talk about, is that enough to extend the pauses on these reciprocal tariffs, or does the president need to see, these deals inked and signed to offer any sort of additional extension beyond the 90 days?
If we can make a lot of money by continually manipulating the market, we are definitely open to the idea of extensions.
Are any of those conversations yet with China happening?
China is escalating with its own retaliatory tariffs, which makes Trump look weak. But we're trying to change the rhetoric so Trump will look successful, setting the stage for a deal with China.
Setting the stage for a deal with China, what does that mean? Has the president spoken directly with Xi yet?
It means that the tariffs will be disastrous for the U.S., so we need to ramp up the lies about how the economically and militarily strongest country the world has ever seen is being screwed over by China. That way we can invent fake problems, solve them, and claim victory. We have to make it look like a win to avoid the much worse outcome, which is bringing back a few automated factory jobs at an enormous cost to the American consumers, followed by massive industry bailouts, like in his first term, only to be rendered pointless when the tariffs are eventually reversed. This would tank Trump's popularity, which scares him more than reading briefings. So no, there haven't been any real talks, but we'll keep pretending there is behind-the-scenes progress, so nobody notices that Trump's idea of negotiating is basically tantrum throwing.
Roughly how many illegal immigrants and aliens do we have in our country, and how many does the administration plan on deporting?
Well, it depends on what you mean by illegal immigrants. We keep expanding the definition to ramp up the numbers, even though we allegedly fixed the border problem. So we included exchange students that disagree with us, refugees, asylum seekers, anyone with ongoing immigration hearings, and folks that made mistakes on their paperwork. We tried to include babies born in the US, whose parents aren't citizens, by taking away birthright citizenship. The courts blocked that, but we're testing how far we can go defying them. We plan on escalating deportations as long as the media is willing to report on it. Deportations are a real morale booster for our base, especially when we get to sensationalize the topic by arresting judges, going after sanctuary cities, violating due process, throwing people into death camps with forced labor, and so on. The numbers aren't really that important if we can blame Democrats in the courts for blocking all the illegal stuff we're doing. The conflicts with them make it look like they're conspiring together with illegal immigrants, which will rally our base.
Over 250,000 Chinese nationals in our country right now on student visas. Does the administration believe there's any national security concern when it comes to those over 250,000 Chinese nationals in our country?
Most of our concerns are with the theft of intellectual property, so it's not really a security issue, but the escalating trade war with China will garner enough support that we can use a fake national security concern as an excuse to infringe on your rights. For example, investigating universities for over-reliance on Chinese faculty and students gives the administration a pretext to demand private data, monitor campus events, and pressure schools to self-censor. Further tactics we might use include freezing grants, removing tax-exempt status, delaying travel visas, or pausing tenure reviews for security vetting. We've really been leaning on emergency powers while stretching the meaning of emergency.
A question about this upcoming announcement from HHS to ban food dyes. During the first week of the administration, the FDA announced that it's pulling its plan to ban menthol cigarettes. So 2 questions for you. How do you square a ban on menthol cigarettes being pulled and then announcing this ban on food dyes? And then how does the president feel about this upcoming ban?
There is no food dye lobby, so no conflicts of interest with our donors. Plus, it'll make us look like we're doing something. People will see small changes in the color of their food without taking away all the tasty, harmful ingredients. Unfortunately, there would be more pushback from the cigarette smokers and libertarians. The grounds we reconcile the two is that our decisions are based on our interests, not yours. As for the president, he doesn't really care, as long as it doesn't hurt his polling. We're not really in the business of public health. We're in the business of optics. If banning something really polls well, we're for it. If it doesn't, it gets quietly buried, next to lowering grocery prices, an infrastructure plan, and healthcare reform.
March deportation numbers were down slightly from the same time period last year. SCOTUS recently ordered a pause on deporting Trinidad Tobago members with the Alien Enemies Act. I'm curious what other tools the administration is looking at to boost those deportation numbers.
When SCOTUS paused us using the Alien Enemies Act against alleged gang members, we didn't see it as a setback so much as a creative challenge. We're actively looking to misinterpret any law that suits our needs, no matter how obviously it violates the Constitution. We were going to pull that move on January 6th too, if Mike Pence didn't believe in democracy. But hey, look who isn't VP.
Thank you. And then on the Supreme Court, I know the court is hearing a case dealing with parents who don't want their kids having to read gender ideology books in schools. Can you comment on that case and what the Trump administration hopes to see come from that?
So basically, the Supreme Court is being asked to decide if parents have the right to keep their kids from being exposed to anything comparatively benign to what they see on the internet. It's a lot easier than actually being a responsible parent. And as long as we can pull the parental vote by running Protect Our Kids slogans, we're going to make a bigger deal out of this than the failing grades, teacher shortage, mental health crisis, lack of special education resources, increasing behavioral issues, poor nutrition and food insecurity, funding inequities, or anything else whose solution is socialist. Well, that wraps up our honest press briefing for today. If you'd like me to continue saving you the time and the brain cells you'd lose scrolling through misinformation, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. I'll keep telling the truth because I prefer being right over being liked. Thanks again for watching.